good evening. Welcome to Cardiff City TV. Well, shooting opportunity. Oh, it's brilliant. Morrison, goal!
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Well, are you over it yet? No, me neither. But after a Derby Day disaster, the Bluebirds do have to pick themselves up and go again as they visit Craven Cottage tonight to take on promotion-chasing Fulham. I'm your match night host, John Donovan. Hopefully, fingers crossed, shortly to be joined by my colleague Ashley James, who's just getting in position on the riverbank at Craven Cottage. Well, even us here at Cardiff City TV don't live in a football bubble, and it's clear to see that pressure is building on management and players alike at Cardiff City. So something positive is needed from tonight's encounter. What might that checklist of positivity be? Well, a first half goal, a positive performance, a blueprint for moving forward, a victory, dare we say it. It's going to be a very, very tough test, though, against a Fulham side who are probably the most fluent footballing side in the division and have a striker who individually has scored the collective total of Cardiff City's goals this season. So, a daunting task, but not an impossible one. What is the team news? I hear you cry. Well, for Cardiff City, it is hugely significant. 5 changes from that defeat against Swansea City on Sunday, and importantly, a change of shape. It looks like Cardiff City have reverted back to the 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 formation, depending on how you look at it. Running through the team in full as we see shots there of the players arriving earlier at Craven Cottage. It will be Alex Smithies who retains his place in goal. But the back four is much changed. Perry NG comes in at right back. Aidan Flint retains his place and is captain of the side this evening. Mark McGuinness will play in his more natural position as a centre half, and Joel Bagan returns at left back. Changes in midfield also. Will Vokes and Marlon Pack will be the 2 holding midfielders, with Sam Bowen just in front of them. Sam Bowen, who was ever so impressive, particularly in the first half against Reading a couple of weeks ago. And then a front three, hopefully a potent front three, of Kiefer Moore, flanked by Ruben Colwell and Ryan Giles. It looks beautiful at Craven Cottage tonight. The moon is shining. Hopefully some luck will shine on Cardiff City. But again, they are up against the Fulham side that can potentially go second this evening, and is a team full of confidence after an emphatic win at the weekend against Queen's Park Rangers. They show 2 changes from that team as injuries and COVID have accounted for a couple of players. They do, however, bring in a former Bluebird in the shape of Bobby Decordova-Reid. So the side for Fulham in full in a 4-2-3-1 formation is Marek Rodick in goal. A back four of Anthony Robinson at left back, Tim Ream, Tosin Adarabioyo and Dennis Adoy as the back four. A hugely experienced and impressive midfield holding 2 of Jean-Michel Seri and Harrison Reed. Bobby Decordova-Reid will play from the left. Another former Bluebird and outstanding man last year, Harry Wilson, will play in the number 10 role, with Nasenko Cabano from the right. And of course, the aforementioned Alexandra Mitrovic up top. Well, I'm very pleased to say that he has run into the stadium, he has got his cup of tea and he's got in position, and over my shoulder we can see that Ashley James has joined us. And Ash, we expected changes. There was much talk about the team selection against Swansea. We've gone back to something that worked against Reading, albeit in defeat, and we see personnel changes as well. What are your initial thoughts, your initial reaction?
Well, there's fullbacks, which is something. And I think that's slightly unfair as well on Mark McGuinness and Kieran Brown, who I thought defensively actually put in a really good shift at the weekend, specifically Kieran Brown. But McGuinness gets his chance at centre half, which I think is something that a number of Cardiff fans were looking to see. It's interesting that it's Aidan Flint, the man who retains his place in there. But yeah, I think a lot of people will be happy to see 2 natural fullbacks in there. Yet to be see how they'll react to being out of the team, and they'll probably judge that to be unfairly themselves in the last few weeks, and to see McGuinness in the back line.
There's been so few positives to talk about at the moment, Ash, in terms of Cardiff City. Let's focus on one. I wouldn't say he's been a shining light, a beacon of hope maybe. Mark McGuinness, you touch upon him there, playing in his more natural position. He has acquitted himself very well at right full back. He looks like a strong defender, good in the tackle, but perhaps even more importantly, good on the ball and an ability to bring the ball out. He's someone that Cardiff City fans are pinning a lot of hopes on.
Yeah, because he to be fair to him, he didn't look anywhere near as out of place as he could and perhaps should have, playing as a right wing back, as a right back, as a fill-in right back, and now and then you'd expect a centre half to be able to do a job. But he looked quite comfortable at times in a wing back position, which is not something you should expect of a player of his physical stature and evident lack of pace to be able to play it in that position and get forward. But you're right, he looks comfortable in possession for a centre half, which is great to see from a Cardiff perspective. And he takes pressure off teammates, doesn't he? He will take that extra touch. He will try and turn away from a defender, and that takes a little bit of ease and burden then off the rest of the back line.
A midfield three tonight, it's something you and I talk about a lot, and to be fair to you, Ash, you are a chief advocate of the fact it's very hard to win football matches at this level now with two men in midfield. You just get dominated. We saw on Sunday with Jamie Patterson dropping into the hole and centre-halves prepared to step forward. That Cardiff were just outnumbered in that area. Important, you think, that Cardiff have gone to three in that midfield?
Yeah, I had nothing but sympathy for Marlon Pack and Joe Rolls on the weekend, and I think if you listen to our commentary, and thank you if you did, you'd have heard our frustration and the empathy that we showed for them and that, because they were looking around at every stoppage of play practically in the second half and shrugging their shoulders at each other, saying, what are we meant to do? Because it was 2-on-4 in there. Uri Patterson and Corey Smith just kept dropping into the holes and making up a three on the offside or wherever possession was, and it was so difficult for those two to try and marshal any resolve to that. I'm disappointed that Joe Rolls isn't in the team. I'm always disappointed when Joe Rolls isn't in the team, because I think more than anything he sets a tempo in there for Cardiff. I thought he was the only person that really set a tempo in the weekend. He put in a couple of tackles, but I don't want to reduce it down to just being able to put in a couple of big tackles in a derby game and get everyone rousing. But he does set a tempo in that middle of the park, and he demands that other people go and follow him. And if you don't go and follow him, then it's quite noticeable. And I thought, if you look back to what we played this formate with the 5-man defence really well last season. But you touched on, and I'll give you credit for that, John, because you touched on it regularly on commentary last season. What Cardiff did so well to implement that formation is the two wing backs were so aggressive out of the ball. They went and engaged really high up the pitch and locked in defenders high up there, and you just can't do that when you're playing centre halves out of position in the wide areas. You look at other people to set that tempo instead, and Joe Rolls invariably is that person.
Ash, you've touched upon it, and you look at Perry NG, you look at Joel Bagan, you look at Will Vokes, who's coming in for Joe Rolls this evening. All players that have been on the sidelines for different reasons, not in the first team picture or the first 11 picture for the manager. And of course, Will Vokes, there's been added issues with his Welsh career and being overlooked with that. Points to prove, worries about morale being down. What are your thoughts on those three particularly?
I hope they're thoroughly annoyed, and I hope what we're going to get from them is a stubborn, belligerent performances from the trio of them to prove to their manager why they shouldn't have been left out in the first place. I think in two of those cases, Bagan and Vokes, arguably, better players. There are better players in the club that should be playing in that formation, which is the reason they've been out of the team. The Perianchi thing is slightly surprising to me. Personnel. He's been hooked at half-time twice this season, hasn't he? And I don't think on either occasion that was wholly justified. And they were tactical changes rather than personnel and straight personnel decisions. But I just find it strange that he's been taken off the team, because he's another, like Joe Rolls, who does set a tempo, and he was the one with Joe Bennett last season in the wing back positions that were really spearheading the positives of that Cardiff formation during that incredible run that we went on.
Just one more from me, Ash, before we go to our first sort of feed, and then we'll come back and talk about Fulham. But goal scoring is clearly an issue at the moment. We didn't score against Reading, but we did create more chances, and I thought that was because we were able to press higher up the pitch with that third man in midfield. We turned the ball over in more dangerous areas. Could that be the recipe for solving this, what is now a goal scoring drought, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a huge emphasis on Ryan Giles and Ruben Caldwell to go and press high up the pitch this evening. You can't do that with your fullbacks in the same way when you're playing a four-man defence, unless you're going to be very, very brave indeed and, drop Will Vogts in amongst two centre-halves at times defensively and then push the fullbacks and the wingers. I don't see that happening. I think there's going to be a lot of onus for Giles and Caldwell to lead that press. And I'm interested to see how they go. I'm interested, another person there, Ruben Caldwell, I'm interested to see how he responds to being out of the team and given rather paltry minutes in recent weeks. And Ryan Giles is a player that's blowing hot and cold at the moment, and a player that, I know everyone was clambering to move away from the back five, but I maybe would have been arguing for changes in personnel within that formation and perhaps not ripping up the formation itself, because I really want to see Ryan Giles get some game time as a left wing back, because ultimately that's where what he was brought in this club to operate as, and that's where he's played the vast majority of his football.
Ash, you and I, we could talk for hours on this. We probably will off camera, but for the moment, and don't go too far because we'll be coming back to you, but for the moment, Ash, thanks very much.
Cheers.
So yes, we will be coming back to join Ash again to preview our opponents tonight, Fulham. But for all the doom and gloom that's perhaps going around the club at the moment, don't be fooled. There's a lot of positives going on at a number of the different team levels, particularly the women's team, under-18s and under-23s, all with positive results in the last few days. Here's a little recap of the action.
It was FAW Women's Cup second round action on Sunday the 17th for Cardiff City Women's. Despite having been reduced to just 10 players away from home, goals from Zoe Atkins, Megan Saunders and captain Siobhan Walsh meant that Ian Derbyshire's side were able to come back from a 2-0 deficit to win 3-2 and advance to the quarter-finals. Following the international break, Cardiff City's under-23s returned to action at the Cardiff City Stadium, where they faced Charlton Athletic. An early goal from a trialist and a hat-trick from James Kroll meant the Bluebirds made it 6 straight wins in the Professional Development League. And Cardiff City's under-18 secured a 5-0 win away at Bristol City on the 16th of October. Goals from James Kroll and Cian Ashford, as well as a Morgan Wigley hat-trick, confirmed the victory for the Bluebirds.
Cardiff City scoring goals, winning games. It does happen. It's nice to see. I believe Ash is still with us. We'll be going back to him to talk about Fulham, who are a team that play exceedingly fluent football under Marco Silva and have a chance tonight to go second in the league. They've been thought of occasionally as a soft touch, but Ash, I suppose when you have that much talent in the lineup, and he seems to have found in Jean-Michel Seri and Harrison Reed, and I know you're a huge fan of Harrison Reed, as am I, a solid base to allow the attacking players to play in front.
I like that we live in an age of football, John, where we can talk about a £27 million signing in Jean-Michel Seri as having found him, like they just discovered him on the back of the sofa. He's an incredibly talented centre midfielder. You forget that the year before he joined Fulham from Nice, he was being linked to a move to Barcelona, and obviously Barcelona 4 years ago was a very different proposition to the team we find now. So he was at one point touted as one of the brightest young midfield talents in Europe. Harrison Reed is a player I'm hugely fond of. I don't quite understand why he's not still at the books of Southampton, for instance, because you watch Southampton play, and I think he's exactly somebody they could do with in the middle of the park there. So you're right, it's an incredibly solid base, and then they've got smackerings of talent that they can just sprinkle in amongst that, haven't they? Josh Onomar's been in and out of the team. They've got Domingo Quina, who we've seen a couple of times play against us from Brentford. You've got Bobby Decordova-Reid, who's versatile across that front line, but has predominantly been playing as the 10. So you're right, it's just a solid foundation, and then a sprinkling of real quality around that.
We have to talk about Harry Wilson. He was here last year. He showed quality when he was allowed to show quality, particularly in one of the last games of the season against Birmingham, when he scored, well, probably along with Michael Chopra, maybe the best hat-trick I've seen from a Cardiff City player. He never shirked his work, Ash, but he had to do a lot of work last year without the ball. That was the way Cardiff City played. Are we now seeing the true Harry Wilson for Fulham and Wales?
No, I don't think we are yet, because I think you're right. I think he's a supremely talented player, but I think he's a very modern footballer in that position, in that he blows very, very hot or cold. I don't think we saw the best of him at Cardiff. I don't think we set up at times to see the best of him, but he's a player that you look at his raw statistics and what he outputted for Cardiff last year, the 12 assists on top of the goals, and that's incredibly difficult on paper to replace. But I think, when you're in the business that we are, where you watch him week in, week out, I think it's easy to forget that he produced those statistics, because he certainly didn't produce on a regular basis for Cardiff, even though, there was a lot of criticism that we never played him in his natural position as a 10. But every time we did, I thought he didn't quite look comfortable in there and didn't really know how to go and control and influence a game of football at this level. Those are words that could very evidently come back to bite me this evening if he does in fact play as the number 10, as that graphic is showing us. I got a feeling that Bobby Decordova-Reid might have a say in that as well. It might actually be Wilson on the right, Reid in the hole, and Cabano on the left instead. But Cabano's another player. We know what he can do against us. He doesn't have a huge amount of goals, Fulham goals to his name, but he seems to score a lot against Cardiff.
Well, Ash, I've got to let you get in position. You will shortly on audio commentary see whether it's Decordova-Reid in the 10 or Wilson. I asked you to go well and bring home a result on Sunday. You didn't. I hold it firmly against you. Yes, so just come home, really. Come home safely, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks very much. I'd take getting through Hammersmith in less than 2 hours later on the way home as a result. So.
Cheers, Ash. Speak to you in a couple of hours. My thanks to Ashley James, who is going into commentary for the commentary position for our audio commentary. If it's video stream you're after, you are stuck with me this evening. The other side, in fact, of this next set of VTs, which starts off with September's Goal of the Month competition.
It's Club Goal of the Month time, and so a chance for you to choose your favourite goal of September from this shortlist. For the first team, no surprise that it's Ruben Colwell's stunning solo goal at the City Ground. Fresh off the bench and off the back of netting his first ever goal for the first team, this second of the afternoon capped a dramatic turnaround and a fine away win over Nottingham Forest.
To Colwell, he'll shoot and he'll score! What a talent! Cardiff are ahead, and this man has switched this game on its head.
For the women's team, it's a fellow young prodigious talent, as Phoebe Poole has started this season in the same red-hot scoring form that she finished last. Kieran Evans is your choice for the under-23s. The youngster has shone brightly on his return from an early season injury and capped a tremendous performance away at Sheffield Wednesday with this piece of skill. A nomination in consecutive months for Caleb Hughes of the under-18s for this delicate, precise free kick. Chanka Zimba is another with back-to-back nominations, as his strong scoring start of the season has dovetailed with that of the unbeaten 2 months that Steve Morrison's side has enjoyed. This, a strong finish after a sweeping City move. And your final choice is a second goal for Kieran Evans, and his second in that win over Sheffield Wednesday. This time, a glorious right-footed free kick.
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Pilkington, good footwork from him, and a second time edge of the area, Anthony Pilkington. Oh, what a strike! Cardiff have taken the lead, and it's 2 wonder goals for the Bluebirds.
It's exceptional. It's down this end again. Cardiff City in front of their own fans. Anthony Pilkington wrong foots 2 defenders. Top corner, and the Cardiff fans are in delirium. What a goal that! It's absolutely spectacular, Mark. It's the 4th long throw we've seen from Gunnarsson. It's by far the best. Real flat trajectory. It forced the Fulham defender near the penalty spot to deal with it. It's a weak header out by Mantle, and Joe Rolls controls it with his left, turns back onto his right, and unleashes an unstoppable shot right into the top corner.
Chipped a long ball forward, brought down by Hoyland outside the area, and then Zohor with a shot! What a goal from Zohor! Cardiff 1, Fulham 2.
Oh, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. From out of nowhere, the quality of Kenneth Zohor comes to the fore.
Cardiff City Foundation Soccer Schools run during school holidays across various sites in South Wales. It gives children the chance to participate in fun football sessions, make new friends and develop and learn new football skills.
We're always looking for something for the children to do during half term. They love coming every day, they learn new skills, it's really creative.
Our son he's really into his football, he really enjoys it.
He lives football, eats football, sleeps football.
It's testimony when he comes back from the school and is still talking about it when we're having dinner, you know, and telling us all the little things that he's learned.
It's a great thing for him to do in the half-term holiday. He gets to get a lot more experience here and meet lots of new people.
Mally's had a ball this week. Just do it. Let your kids run free and you'll have easier nights because she is shattered when she comes home.
It's really fun and the coaches are really nice. When we get to play matches as a team to score goals.
They make fun drills for us. They help you shoot better, do more dribbling, more passing.
Total value for money. It's 6 hours for each day.
My son's here from first thing in the morning till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's fantastic, so I definitely recommend it to anybody.
They've enjoyed every minute of it, so I would definitely recommend it as a parent.
If they're interested in football, they'd love it.
Just do it.
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Well, shooting opportunity. Oh, it's brilliant. Morrison, goal!
A very warm welcome to you to Cardiff City TV. This Wednesday night encounter between Fulham and Cardiff City. I'm John Donovan, hoping to bring you a better night's work than Sunday's derby day against Swansea. The Bluebirds, players, fans, management reeling from Sunday's 3-0 loss to Swansea. What response can they muster by the Riverbank this evening in front of 700 hardy Cardiff City fans who have made the trip to London? We're awaiting the teams to make that famous walk across the pitch from the corner tunnel, and it is a team for Cardiff City that significantly shows 5 changes from the one that did lose on the weekend. It's also a change of shape, with Cardiff reverting back to the 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, depending on how you want to look at it. The team in full is Alex Smithies in goal, Joel Bagan, Mark McGuinness, Aidan Flint and Perry NG. As we see some of the Cardiff City substitutes coming out, Sean Morrison amongst them. Will Vokes is back in for Joe Rawls, who has a collarbone injury following a high collision against Swansea at the weekend. Will Vokes will play alongside Marlon Pack, with Sam Bowen returning and playing just in front of those two holding midfielders, allowing then a front three of Ruben Colwell, Kiefer Moore and Ryan Giles. As you can see from your pictures, the referees and now both teams are coming out onto the pitch. Cardiff captained tonight by Aidan Flint. And of course, it is self-evident that the Bluebirds need something positive from tonight's encounter. The pressure is mounting. What can Cardiff City produce? Well, according to the bookies, it should be an easy win for the home team. A home team that do play very fluent football, and a team showing 2 former Bluebirds in their ranks, Bobby Decordova-Reid and Harry Wilson. Mick McCarthy will know that Fulham will likely have more of the ball, and the Cardiff City team will have to be resolute and try and take their chances when they can. It's a beautiful night in West London. You might have seen shots during our pre-game show of the London skyline. Could have been made more beautiful with a Cardiff City victory. That man needs it. The whole football club needs it. And hopefully in the next 90 minutes we'll bring you some positivity. The Fulham team, well, they themselves show 2 changes. Injury and COVID has seen them deprived of Joe Bryan and even Caballero. So their team in full in a 4-2-3-1 formation is Marek Rodak, Anthony Robertson, Tim Ream, Tosin Adarabioyo, Dennis Odie, Jean-Michel Seri and Harrison Reed as the 2 holding anchor midfielders, and then Bobby Decordova-Reid, Harry Wilson and Neskens Cabano playing behind Alexander Mitrovic. As you can see, that is the Cardiff City team lined up as a 4-2-3-1, but against Reading it often looked like a 4-3-3 formation. Importantly, an additional man in the middle of the park, Sam Bowen, should alleviate some of the pressure, some of the chasing shadows we saw at the weekend when the 2 of Joe Rawls and Marlon Pack were significantly outnumbered. Tonight it's Vokes, Pack and Bowen. Can they allow Cardiff City to gain parity in the middle of the park, have more of the ball, hopefully create more chances, and hopefully score some goals? As we await the final preparations Fulham can go second tonight with a victory. Cardiff just looking to stop the rot. Perry and G making a return at right back. As Ashley James said in our pre-game show, something to prove, as had